Hello, I'm Isabel Dassinger, and welcome to our show, Be Your Own Advocate. And this is a show where we try to provide information that helps you understand and have more information about something of where you can be your own advocate in different situations that you'll be having to deal with. So today, my guest is Harvey Hirsch. Hello, Harvey. Thank you, and welcome to our show.
Hello.
Harvey Harvey's a longtime friend and colleague. I've always been a big fan of Harvey because not only is he brilliant in his work, but he brings a positive attitude with everything that he does all the time in all the years I've known him. He's led his own marketing agency for over 30 years and has won over 100 industry awards for all of his work continuously over all those years. Many of the awards are there behind him. He's been featured in Adweek, Entrepreneur magazine, and many other publications. And he's also a teacher at many colleges here in New Jersey and has a master's degree in the School of Visual Arts and a master's degree in media. So hello, Harvey, and thank you so much for being my guest today.
Always a pleasure.
So you had once told me that you had dropped out of high school to enroll and join in the Army at the age of 17. You went to Vietnam and were on helicopters. How would I say that?
I was a crew chief.
Crew chief on helicopters. So what encouraged you to join the Army at such a young age?
Well, that was 1966, and the draft was going, and I was in Brooklyn with my family, my brother and my mother. And as it turned out, my mother is the world's worst cook. She was the youngest of eight, and she couldn't cook, and she invented blackened French toast. And one day I just had enough. And at 17, I went down and I joined the Army. And in basic training, I was the only one that would go up for seconds. I figured, well, the food stayed down. You didn't get any heartburn. How bad could it be? And you can have pancakes and eggs and sausage. And it was like, and people were looking at me like, you like this? And I'd go, yeah, it was fine. But at 17, what do you know? So I wanted to fly. And after basic training, they sent me to Fort Rucker. And they said, you know what? When you signed up to be a pilot, they didn't tell you that you had to be at least 18 and a half to get your warrant officer bars. And I was only 17. So they sent me to mechanic school. I
Hmm.
qualified to go and learn how to fix single rotor gas turbine helicopters.
Okay.
And when I got to Vietnam, they said to me, we have enough pilots, we need more mechanics. But in your case, we understand that you do morning reports, and we need that even more important. The Army runs on paperwork. So they put me where they needed me. And eventually, on my off time, the major said, when you're not doing this and you're off, you could do whatever else you want. So I volunteered to go out with the Pathfinders and with the dust off people. And they were the medevac helicopters.
Hmm.
So I would go out with them and they would pick up the wounded and the bleeding and everything like that. And I could only last 3 trips with that because I had people
Yeah.
like spurting blood and I would put tourniquets on them and things you don't want to see as a 18-year-old.
Yeah.
But working with the Koreans was very interesting. I made friends with the Koreans. I learned how to eat kimchi. I still eat kimchi. I like Korean food. I've been to Korea. So as a 17-year-old, I didn't have too many alternatives. I couldn't afford to go to college at that point. So when I came back from Vietnam in 1968, it was October 68. Um, it was like, what are you going to do now?
What are you going to do? Right.
Okay, so when I was in Vietnam, I was also a cartoonist. I went through high school as a cartoonist, and they would have me paint like Spider-Man and Captain America on the helicopters. And
Oh, geez.
so I figured, all right, I'm going to go to art school. Well, so I wound up, going to the School of Visual Arts.
Hmm.
And they gave me 43 credits from my work history for my BFA, which was like a scholarship. It was
Yes.
wonderful. In those days, it was 100 and some odd dollars a credit. So it was really nice. And because they gave me those credits, I graduated in January of 77 and then I was already in my master's program because they gave me an extension for my benefits. And I was teaching at Essex County College in Newark, and they were paying me for my credits. So
How old were you then?
I was 20 when and I also had two kids to feed. So I was shooting weddings on the weekend, and I was working at the college and running their advertising and marketing and silk screening the posters. And they called me an instructional designer. So I learned how to make slides
Hmm.
and what not to do in slides. People can't read a lot. You have to give them a little bit. Treat each slide like it was a billboard,
Yeah.
five,
Uh-huh.
6 words and a picture. And I learned what worked and everything else in marketing.
How did your experiences in Vietnam contribute to the way that you were looking at marketing when you came home? And how did you stay so positive and confident in yourself to just brave a whole new territory and create a career for yourself while still, dealing with all the aftermath of what you were just talking about, what you were seeing and feeling when you were there in Vietnam?
Well, I had to number one understand that that was the past.
Okay.
There's things that you see and things that you experience that will stay with you
Mm.
forever. And you're either going to let it affect you in a negative way or a positive way.
Yeah.
And I discovered that it was more of a positive thing. Once you're back from Vietnam, they might shoot down your ideas, but they're not going to shoot you down.
You were
So
able you were able to think like that.
I was able to think like that. And then I equated war with marketing because it's technically the same thing. You want to take over somebody else's territory with
Yeah.
your product or service, and
Hmm.
they don't want you to. So there's going to be a fight. And I went to school to learn how to create effective messages. And then at my master's program,
Yeah.
why you're going to create effective messages. So I tend to do my own creative concepting and writing and producing because I understand marketing is communication at some level and
Yeah.
everything has to be understood. But what I discovered over my vast career is that most marketing today is still using the strategies that were developed in the 60s, which is get the message out to as many people as possible for as little as possible
Yeah. Right.
and
Hmm.
try to run an average.
Hmm.
And when in the 60s, when you got a letter, a typed letter, you opened it up. It was
Yeah.
important to you. You opened it up and read it. And then IBM came out with the Selectric, and now a million letters went out, and it kind of lost its power.
Yeah.
In the 70s, if you did a good direct mail piece and you got 0.2%, that was enough for you to justify the cost of the 120,000 pieces that you mailed out that didn't get a response. And as I started playing with data, I realized that you needed to personalize things. One size does not fit all in communications.
Mhm.
And this is the problem today. This is why a lot of the media, which I would call vestigial media, doesn't work anymore. Newspapers are closing because the ads that people place in them are not generating any leads.
Yeah.
People don't read anymore. So the
Yeah.
big thing now is video internet marketing, where you're putting out a message where you're educating your marketplace, but a lot of them are not converting. The only people that seems to making money on the internet are Amazon, which is an online catalog essentially where you buy things and they have everything there. And they've thrown in three free delivery on the Prime, but everything else seems to be falling apart on the wayside because you're inundated with messages and you have to learn how to pass that amygdala in the brain, how to get your message to the frontal cortex.
And
And I,
you do this a lot. You do this a lot by uh, customizing to your audience and using really strong visual suggestions. Would that be the right way? I mean, I've seen your work and it's always has a visual impact right away before you even read what it's talking about.
well, I like to, I understand that we learn through emotions.
Yeah.
And a lot of marketing out there is based on um, fear of missing out. Okay, we're having a sale, blah, blah, blah. And I realized that I'm not there to pitch a sale. My first goal is to stand out of a stack of mail. Most of my work is business to business. So I have companies that sell competitive products. And I have to generate an idea that's going to make their message stand out of a stack of mail and get open. And when they're reading it, I want to make people laugh. When they laugh, the message goes right to the frontal cortex and they'll never forget it. And in order to do that, I've had to invent and literally got a patent in 2000 for a process that I was working on using Sharp Electronics, who hired me to launch their machines. And one of the things we developed was the fact that when you're merging data to personalize a message, people are not going to throw it away. They're going to see their name on a piece of paper and they want to see more. And,
Yeah.
and and one of the things we did was make what we call lumpy mail, which is things that they're not flat. Flat mail gets tossed. Letters get tossed.
Yeah.
I don't want to do letters. I don't do letters. And I invented a way that in my patent, you can go against the common process today. So, one of the samples I brought with me are my postcards, the fish. Can you see that?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So, this is a personalized die cut piece of paper. Now, normally, people would have to print 500 pieces, then take the paper to a finishing house and put it on a machine with a specially created die to press them out. So you're looking at maybe 2 weeks from start to finish. Well, I figured out how to die cut the sheet first, then run it through my digital press
Yeah.
and merge data as it's going to personalize it and then be able to send a whole bunch of different fish to the customer.
Right. Right. And that way, like when you're starting a new business, that kind of gathering that kind of attention right off the bat is really going to make the difference. And it's not, it's like you're using your mailer to speak for you and let the customer know how creative you are and gain their interest.
Well, if you took two pieces of paper, one is the letter, one is the envelope. Okay, that's the common direct mail piece today, even today. Okay, so
Right. Hmm.
I take two pieces of paper and they have three fish on one of them and three fish on the other. So I take two pieces of paper and I make something that's unforgettable, that'll make you laugh. And there's no sales material on it. It's
Right.
strictly, I'm poking fun at them. Here's a sure thing, or
Mhm.
you're going to get more business. I'm just making a image that's going to get the salesperson to follow it. So if you get a
Mhm.
fit every day, you know,
Uh-huh.
you're going to remember that. And on Friday, the salesperson is going to call you up.
Right. Yeah.
And the closing rate was a 40% response rate.
Right. Because people are a lot more likely to be, oh, yeah, I remember that, or take a moment rather than just not acknowledge the call. And that's, even with today's marketing, with everything being social media, it's all general to the general public. There is not really any more of that customization. But I think if you're going to start a new business nowadays, it's a great way to stand out and make an impact, which you have to do, you know, in order to be heard and seen, right?
Well, what I learned in Vietnam is that you have forward air controllers. You have people that are scouts. They're out there
Hmm.
hiding in the bushes and they're watching the enemy. This is like research, okay? The same
Yeah.
thing you need in marketing. You
Yeah.
have to know who your competition is. You have to know your best client. You have to know where to find similar clients.
Hmm.
You have to go after them. You don't do 1,000-piece mailing to a database of people that you think could be your clients.
Right.
Okay, my feeling is you take your top 20 clients or prospects and you plan a drip campaign where they're going to get something on Monday, they're going to get something on Tuesday. And I started inventing things because one size does not fit all. So
Right.
if I make something up for women,
Oh, that's nice. That's pretty.
it's going to get looked at. Okay.
Yeah.
The
Hmm.
post office
See, I
makes
even just like how I just responded when you held it up, right? That.
exactly. Okay.
Yeah.
So there are things like they're universal, right?
Uh-huh.
Put
Yeah.
some more money in, and I could talk to them right up on the front,
Yeah.
the back. And as they get things, okay, they see different ways of thinking.
Yeah.
And I could tailor it. I could say, okay, I have 20 CFOs, but 10 of them are women. Why should
Right.
they get the same message that a man gets?
Right.
Agencies don't do that today. They don't understand.
No, and I think like if you're going to start a business or you want to grow your business to do something that's different and unexpected is really going to and affordable. Let's not
It
forget
has,
that. That's going to really make the difference with like even just how much you feel confident in your business. I mean, you're like one of the most confident people I've ever met, and you you'll try something new and try something different, but you also have a sense of confidence that it's going to work out. And I think like those kinds of mailers and are a great way for people to get their message out without having to cold call or put themselves out there for in fear of rejection.
people
You
don't
know?
understand the mechanics of how communications works. Even ad
Yeah,
agencies, they do the same thing over and over. Most of them are working with ineffective thinking. The
ineffective
ineffective,
thinking.
yes,
Hmm.
because
Yeah,
they're using you can only develop a marketing program based on the technology you understand.
yeah,
Understand that
yeah.
mass
That's for
communications
sure.
has changed drastically. So even today, online, they're using the theories of the 60s, get the message out to as many people as possible. So they create spam and nobody looks at it. In
No,
fact, the internet has lost its credibility. There's just
I
so much,
think it's true.
and AI is creating a whole slew of messages that are not right. They're not right. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
when I developed my product line, I thought about it and I say, how can I make something that's more effective? So here's an example. So here's what I call the bite card. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then I made it for a friend of mine. So it's a giant matzo with bites taken out to promote a show.
Um,
Okay.
yeah.
So and here it's again, it's money. And then I made here a hot card. It's so hot it's burning holes.
I love it. Yeah, it's all creative and so can people how do people access those kinds of marketing materials?
Well, now that I'm retired, but I've been training people online, I have students that have opened up their own businesses and have access to my patterns and
Like
go
that's print
right.
shops.
They
Print shop.
also, yeah. So people can order these. I haven't
Great.
promoted, but what I've done is in using them for customers, I pushed the envelope.
Yeah.
So
Uh-oh.
here would be, this is the one that really changed everything. So
Uh-huh.
an ink company came to me and they said, "Yeah, we've heard about you." And I said, "Well, I don't use ink anymore. I only use toner." And they
Hmm.
said, "Yeah, we know that. What could you do for us?" They've been running ads hundreds and thousands of dollars worth of ads that do nothing. So they wanted to open up an ink mixing facility on site at printers, $20 million a year printers and above. And they had their agents and reps all over the country trying to get in the door to sell this, and they couldn't get in the door. So I said to them, all right, give me each rep and salesperson has a list of people that they've been trying to get into with the correct spelling of the president's name and the correct spelling of the sales manager and the facilities manager. And I created a program where we would use one piece, but I would be able to change the copy to address the needs of the sales manager and the facilities manager and the owner. So this piece went out, and I'm going to open it up for you. And in it is a reef card that's all personalized with a hand folded origami fish that's personalized, and a message.
Hmm. Yeah, people will take the moment. People will take those moments, and that's what you want to have. Let me ask you another thing. I know that when you came home from Vietnam, you adjusted really well mentally and emotionally, but physically, as the years went on, you got hit with some physical issues that you've had to deal with. And how's that affected your life? I know that there's a lot of vets and even first responders that are having to deal with the effect of chemicals and other things on their health. But you're amazing, as I've said a couple of times already. But how have you dealt with it? What can you share with our listeners?
Well, when I came back from Vietnam, I was having these problems with rashes, and nobody knew how to deal with it. And eventually, I had a heart attack. I was sitting at my desk, and we were just getting ready to move into a larger building. I owned this building for 20 years, and I had a heart attack at my desk, and I just put my head down, and I thank God for all the wonderful things, and if it was my time, but it wasn't my time. And what they discovered was that I had ischemic heart problems created by Agent Orange. And I was
Mm-hmm.
57 years old, and I couldn't operate like that. And they did cardiac catheterization and found that four of my arteries from the heart were 80% blocked, so they couldn't put stents in. I had to have open heart surgery, and then they put me on 20 pills a day. And there's no way you could run a business like mine on 20 pills a day. So I had to decide, what am I going to do? It wasn't my first choice, but I had to find work for all my people, which I did, and I my lease came up on the building, and I just like sold the building, and I had to retire. But you can't shut the mind off.
No.
So I went online and I figured out how to train people online, and that's what I've been doing. I train companies, and I learned all about how the internet works to
Yeah.
the point that almost all of my videos showed up as number one in a search for either the restaurant or the customer. And I realized that it's not just one video. You need to do a whole bunch, and you need to tailor it. And as a keynote speaker down in Medellin, Colombia, I was talking to thousands of people, and they really understood, and they embraced this new technology. But Google doesn't like me teaching people how to use video because video skews the responses. They have a formula because video trains people. It's the audio visual for training. It's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I started working with restaurants because they can't afford me. So I would train people how to shoot and interview and everything else at restaurants.
Yes, that's all right. I remember that. I
Have these
remember.
parties, and it was a lot of fun. And I
Mhm.
put a lot of people together. And I still do it, but down here in Florida, they don't have any money. They can't go out to eat with me, so it's a little different.
So if people want to contact you, we'll put the information for either how to How to
So
get advice, how to,
here's my business card.
okay. What does it say? What is it saying? Let me see. I'll show you how to eat your competition.
I opened up a company called Piranha Marketing.
Hmm.
Please don't call me. I shut the phone off. I was getting so many calls. But if you email me at Harvey at Piranha Marketing agency, I'll get back to everybody. Um,
Great. Thank you so much.
and I've also made a site called Harvey's Marketing Secrets. It's on
Okay.
YouTube, and
Oh,
I'm
great.
putting up videos to show people how to do public relations, how to do your own product line. Every business should
Oh,
have its own
that's
product.
wonderful. Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. Because a lot of people, nowadays especially, they want to have their own business, but it is challenging, and having some information like what you just provided is certainly going to help people make the difference. So thank you so much, Harvey. I think we'll probably circle back another time and get more information from you. So thank
I'm
you
here
very
for
much.
you. This is Florida. I have nothing else. I'm not going out. It's 90 degrees today. So
Thank you, thank you, thank you.